Hey everybody, John with Owl. Today we are going to install the brand new, I didn't get that right, I got to get those fingers right. There we go. Today we are going to install the Owl side ladder with mounting brackets. If you haven't seen this, I do a whole video on the features of this new side ladder. Really proud of this product, and today we're going to walk through the installation. It's pretty straightforward. You can absolutely do it yourself. If you don't want to install anything yourself, you can always bring it to an Owl Off-Road and we will get you set up with an installation. But if you want to get your tools and get a little bit dirty and do it yourself, we always encourage that. So your ladder is going to come in two sections here, and you'll see we've got this machined billet aluminum. We call it a 50-50 mount, but it allows you to bolt the ladder together. That's kind of where we're going to start. I'll show you the tools that we're going to use today. You've got the pieces that we have in the kit. So you've got a top section, a bottom section. This is going to be your upper bracket. This is going to slot into the roof rail of your Sprinter van. Now, this is an important aspect. You have to have the factory or Vantech makes a roof rail on your Sprinter van before you can install our side ladder. That's true of roof racks, side ladders, and all kinds of items like that. So please make sure before you start this process that you have those roof rails on your van. So this is going to slot into those roof rails, and then it's going to bolt to the ladder. So that's going to go on top. This is the accessory kit that you will get. This is all of the hardware necessary to bolt up the ladder. And as far as tools, it's pretty basic stuff. We've got some open-ended wrenches, get 7/16, 9/16, and 1/2 inch. And then we've got, I grabbed the 9/16 socket, 7/32 Allen. You also have a 1/4 inch hex or Allen head, socket driver, and a 1/4 inch drill bit or slightly bigger. So I'm going to use these tools to install the ladder, and we're going to get going. The first thing we're going to do as we install the ladder is bolt the top half to the bottom half. So let me pull out, sorry, it's loud and everyone's working, so I kind of banished myself to the back of the building here to cut down on the noise, but I don't have a lot of room to show you stuff. I apologize. So let's start here with this kit. Now, we are going to start with this kit here. These bolts are basically these round cap hex head bolts. What these are going to do is they're going to slot into that 50-50 mount. Now, when you're tightening the 50-50 mount, you don't actually need a wrench for these because we manufactured that mount to keep this nut captive as you tighten it. So the way this works is you're probably going to want to find someplace, not the concrete because you might scratch your ladder, but maybe even a carpet before you go outside, is you're going to want to take the ladder. So you're going to take the upper half and bottom half of the ladder, and you're basically just going to set them like this so that they're together. I'm going to move some of this hardware out of the way. And we've got these bolts again, these little captive bolts. And so what's going to happen is you're going to pick this up slightly, and then you're going to slot this in from the outside. And I usually just put 2 in just to kind of hold it. And you might need to wiggle these up and down slightly to get that bolt through. And then you'll notice on the inside, let me drop you down here. So if I pick this up a little bit, you can see how these bolts go from the outside in, and then on the inside, let's see if I can get you on the inside here. Can you see this? You're going to take this nut, and we have a bolt in this one, and you're just going to push the nut into that slot, and that's going to keep it captive. So I'm going to do the one where the bolt isn't. So the one bolt is down here. We're going to do the one where the bolt isn't. I'm just going to lightly hold that nut with my hand, and then push the bolt through the ladder, and then just lightly turn it so we get it caught in that nut without cross threading. And a good way that I do this is I actually just hold the bit in my hand so you don't get that much torque on it. And then you just, again, you can move the ladder up and down until you're confident you've got that nut started. Okay, that nut started. And then I'm going to take the other one, and again, you can lift up and down on this to free things up. Pull that one back. And then I'm going to put the nut there. And then again, I'm going to push this through gently and not put a ton of pressure on that nut. I want that nut to kind of catch on that lower bolt. This will take a little bit of fiddling till you get it. All right, so now, again, took a little bit of fiddling, but I got both started. Then what you're gonna do is just go ahead, and once you get it started, you can go ahead and tighten all of these down until they bottom out. There's nylocks there. We don't really have a torque spec, just what we call guten tight, as the Germans say. Tighten it down to where it's snug, and the nylock should keep that from ever separating, so that's no issue. So you do the 2 bolts here, and then the 2 bolts on the other side as well, and then you're done joining the ladder together. That's a pretty simple first step, and then we're gonna go on to mounting the top roof rail. So again, sorry for the lack of room, but after we've got those 4 bolts installed and your ladder is rock solid and all in one piece, it's time to move up to the top of the van. As I set this down gently, don't scratch the paint. And we're gonna install this top bracket. The top bracket on this ladder right here is actually an earlier prototype. We refined it to have a big cutout in the middle so it's easier to work around the different roof racks that are on the market. So this is gonna look slightly different. What you get is gonna look like this. What is on this kind of OG bracket is what we're going to be mounting on this vehicle here. So disregard that, but the installation process is exactly the same. So you've got this bracket, and then you've also got this little bag here that has these, oh, of course I dropped one of the washers. Got these little deals in them. This is a stainless steel kind of twist lock rail bolt. And the cool thing about these is we assume a lot of you are going to have roof racks already, and a lot of the stuff on the market requires you to take everything off and slide this all the way down the rails. But for us, we made these twist locks so they drop right into the rail, and then as you tighten the bolt, they twist and they hold tight in the rail. So this is going to make installation a lot easier. Again, these are unpainted because they're stainless, so no worries there. So you got these, and then they should come with corresponding washers and nylocks. So we're going to pop up top and get these installed with the upper bracket. All right, everybody, welcome to the roof. We're on a staircase here. It's a little bit awkward. Clearly, it's a little hard to see. We're going to show you how this works. So I'm going to grab one of these here. And again, if you have a roof rack, that's fine. In fact, our roof rack is one of the lowest on the market, and as long as you can get your hands in there, you're good. So we're going to put these in sideways. I don't know if you saw that. I'll do that again. So I'm going to take this, and you see the shape here. So if my hand is the rail, it's going to come so it's parallel with the length of the rail and drop in sideways, and then it's going to twist. So I'm going to drop these in. That's one. And there's two. And then it's super easy. You've got your bracket, and we're just going to put that on one of them and slide it, and then slide this one out to match it and put it on there. And then you just want to hold it on place so it doesn't hold it in place, excuse me, so it doesn't drop. And then we're going to drop these little washers on top of those. And again, if you have a roof rack already, this can be a little bit of a fiddly process, but you're just going to have to use all of that dexterity in your fingers to get there. And if you don't have your roof rack on, or you can always, with roof racks, loosen up these brackets on the side and then put some tape or some padding here and put like a wooden block to prop up one side of the roof rack. So of course, once we get those washers on, then we can put a nut on there. So this is what we're looking at here. You see, if I tilt this up, how do I get this lower? So you can see I've got the thing in there. I've got a washer and a nut on it there, and then we're just going to tighten it down. And as we tighten it down, this is going to lift up like so. Let me get you a better angle there. That's going to lift up like so, and then we're going to be able to attach the ladder to it. Sorry folks, getting too hot out here. I had to grab a hat. I apologize if I look like a hot mess for this video. It's definitely warm here in California. So we've got the ladder together. I've got the bracket up there installed. Now what you're going to want to do is find these 3/8 bolts and corresponding nuts. And what we're going to do is bolt this ladder to that bracket. Now I purposely left that bracket a little bit loose because we want to find exactly where we want to mount this ladder in relation to the bottom. So because that's still loose, I can slide it back and forth a little bit, and that'll allow me to kind of micro adjust for where I want to mount the very bottom of the ladder. So now we're going to go up and mount this to that. So you correspondingly need a 9/16 wrench and a 7/32 Allen or hex. And what I usually do is I don't worry about the washer for the first side. I just get it on there and get a nut in it, and that holds it. And then I can get the washer in the other side. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing there. Okay, got those on. And I can take this nut back off and put the washer on that one. And now what you want to do, you've got this snugged. Let me tighten these down real quick. Come back. Those tools like to try to escape. All right, so that's snugged up, but you can still see that we have some movement in this. So if we need to move that and adjust that, we can. So let's go down and see how we did. All right, so here's where we left it loose on top. We're a little bit too far back. You see the ladder sticking off. So now we can kind of cheat this over. It's better. What I like to do is see this body seam right here that's on these Sprinters. I like to kind of shoot to line the ladder up with that a little bit. It covers this seam here and it looks pretty good. And so that's what you can use as a line to kind of line it up. There we go. Pretty happy with that. Like that. All right. So happy with the positioning there. So now we're going to install the bottom of the ladder. I have my, what size is this again? 1/4-inch drill bit. And the nice thing about the 1/4-inch drill bit is it fits right in those little holes. We're going to drill right through with the ladder in place. Here's where you just want to make sure and do a double check as far as alignment. So again, you've got that seam that we talked about that runs up the van. You can't really see this behind this pole, but you can just check that seam. We're just on the edge of it here, and on the top we're covering that seam. And what does that mean? That means the ladder's not quite straight. So we want to cover, if we're maybe 1/4 of an inch over the seam on the top, then we want to move this ladder. See how it's a little bit mobile here? We want to move that ladder over to kind of match that. And then what you can do is just take a Sharpie, just so you don't have to keep holding it there. Move the ladder over, mark it with a Sharpie as to where it is. And then you're going to want to drill through that pinch weld. Another thing you can do is move the ladder up a little bit so that you want to get right into the meat of that pinch weld. And so if you have to, just hold the ladder up slightly while you drill. You don't want to drill in the very bottom of that pinch weld. Once you get the first one through, you can hold it in place with take one of these. So these are actually kind of cool. I talk about these in the other video. These are actually aluminum. So these are meant to be breakaway bolts in case you ever catch this on something when you're out wheeling. Only thing you want to keep in mind with aluminum bolts, they're softer. You want to be much more careful threading on the nut, which I will grab here. So these little nuts, you got to be very careful threading those onto these. You don't want to cross thread it because it's softer, so it's easier to cross thread than steel. And we're going to go back and paint that, but for now I'm just going to put this bolt in to drill that second hole, okay? Like anything on your van, anytime you drill a hole, you're going to want to make sure to paint that spot where you drill the hole so that it doesn't corrode. One of the tools I forgot to mention is this. These aluminum bolts are a number 4 hex. So I'm just going to tighten this one that I've already got in there. I don't have a nut on it yet. I'm just getting it tightened into that hole so I've got some stick out on the back and the ladder's oriented exactly where I want it. And then I'm going to drill that second hole. now that we've got both of those through, got some black spray paint, Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer, one of my favorites. And this pinch weld down here, you're not really ever gonna see it. So there's no real need to do a bunch of taping. Just don't spray from back here. Spray from past your body, past the body of the van so you don't see it. And then hit the outside, and then go ahead and hit the inside from underneath the van. And you just want to make sure that you're getting a nice liberal amount of paint on those. All right, we're going to take you under the van. So here, all right, so we got our paint on, so now you're just going to put a washer on these and tighten them down. Pretty easy. And one of the other things I should mention too is, because these are aluminum, so they're going to be much more prone to breaking and stretching. They're breakaway bolts. So if you're finding that you're having to close a big gap here, you're going to want to loosen the ladder on top, and you're going to want to tighten these first if there's a big gap there, because as you try to close that gap, this aluminum is just going to stretch and break. So if you've got a big gap here that you need to close, that means the top is too tight. Just loosen it up, pull it off the van, and keep it a little bit loose while you tighten these, then go back and tighten that. All right, so once you get those bottom bolts tight, you get to go to the fridge and get a cold drink because your ladder is dialed. You can see those breakaway bolts underneath. If you've left anything loose up on top, now's your chance to go back up on top and tighten anything. This includes the roof rack. If you loosened your roof rack, this includes any panels, and also check for tools. Sometimes you'll leave a couple of wrenches and those kinds of things up on your roof and you're driving along. You wouldn't want those to fall off and lose them, or worse, smash somebody's vehicle. So that's the side ladder. Actually goes pretty quick. There's kind of a number of steps to it, but it's all fairly straightforward. It's just kind of bolting things together, and it's a really fun kind of afternoon project. If you want to sit in your driveway on a Sunday and install the ladder, it really is pretty simple. I also think it looks pretty good. Thanks for hanging out this afternoon. I hope the installation of your Owl side ladder went well. If you have any questions, our support team is always around and available here by phone to answer any questions for you. You can also email support@owlvans. We usually get back same day. On the weekends, it'll be a Monday. So hope everything goes smooth. We also have a bunch of other videos on our YouTube channel. If you like and subscribe to those, you're going to get notifications when those videos come out, and you can keep up to date on all the products that we make. Thanks again for hanging out, and I hope you enjoy your ladder.